Alright, guys, today we're going to be reacting to Andrew's advice to men to never take this awful deal. Let's jump in.
Brian says this, and this makes sense to me. Okay, so in your early years before you got to me, you were sleeping with everything that was around. And now you get to me and say, I really, really like you and hated all those guys, but you have to wait. From the perspective of the man, that's pretty brutal, right? That's a pretty brutal thing to say. It's like, you like me, but I have to wait to experience this. But these other guys you didn't like, didn't have to wait, can make that make sense, right?
Well,
and I
there was, like,
actually haven't heard a great answer yet for this.
I feel like a woman would be trying to do that to try to create value for herself in his eyes. If she had done this before, but is like trying to change her ways and show this to him, that he would value her more and be more likely to date her rather than, oh, I can just hit it and quit it tonight and never talk to her again, because maybe she's really into Brian and really wants him to value
Wow,
her
that's a cop-out.
and see the worth in her, so she's trying to change her way in that way and have him value her that way.
I don't think a woman, by withholding sex, has ever negotiated her way into a long-term relationship by simple virtue of her withholding sex.
Yep.
Because I think what would either happen is that if he's interested in you and he'd be inclined to have a relationship with you, it's not clear to me if having sex with him will prevent him from still wanting to pursue a relationship with you.
I mean, that's been. It will.
But then wouldn't
that's
it just be a
preference.
manipulation tactic?
Could be.
So isn't it a false? But this is where he stalemates it and why it pisses me off, because of that answer, right? So that answer is what it creates value for me in his eyes, right? Okay, but if that didn't, would you still sleep with him the first night? And the answer is, well, yeah. It's like, so then aren't you faking virtue? And that is when, and that's when
But that
when
goes
Brian
into if
says,
she
doesn't
wait,
want to
so-
sleep with him on the first
No,
date.
Yeah,
no,
I'm
but
also
Let him finish.
Yeah.
But hang on. So what Brian says here, right, as frustrating as it is, because I don't have the great response to this, how's that not faking virtue if she and so remember the entailment here is, I do this to create value for me in your eyes. But if that doesn't create value in my eyes, but instead sleeping with you creates that value, would you do that? The answer would have to be yes, because that's what you're creating the value for, right? And he says, well, then you're faking virtue. And it's like, I don't know how to get around that exactly.
That's a good point.
That's a good point.
I think like her level of comfort also makes sense, though, that she's not going to want to sleep with someone after a first date, after what she's been given, the experience she was given. and
I
put
also-
through.
Hey,
Yeah.
I'm not.
But this year's the point is that, yeah, you're giving away what is the most valuable asset. Because you've been giving it away, that means that your value of that thing goes down because you just gave it away for free. And now the guy that, want to buy it, you want to sell it like has never been used. And this is the concept of guys are the one that determine the value of that object, which is your virginity.
Not even disagreeing that that's true.
Or not knowing what his
Yeah,
value
I'm
is
I
not,
going
also
to be.
wanna
I'm not
say that
disagreeing with this at
I
all.
don't
think it's like a comfort of
set
value.
a time limit where I tell them like, I'm not sleeping with you till we go on 5 dates. I purposely don't on the first date, and like if it feels right, I not on the first date, but like I don't put a time limit on it. Is basically what I'm saying.
Well,
Just-
listen, I understand because what you guys are doing is you're individualizing this, which
Yep.
is fine.
Yep.
Right? You can individualize it.
It's a
Maybe
good
their
point.
preference isn't this. I agree with you, right? But if it is that I'm making you wait, not because I wouldn't sleep with you if I thought that created the value, but instead of making you wait because I think it creates value to you, for me, that I don't do this, then I don't see how an entailment of that isn't I'm faking virtue. I can't see how to rationalize. Can you?
The only thing that makes me think, the only way I can rationalize it a little bit, and I don't even think I agree with it, I'm just trying to like put the pieces together in my brain, is if you are going out with the intent to prove the virtue to yourself and not the man, you're going out there.
Which is it's a recipe for disaster because, again, you're missing the point. It's the value to the man, not to yourself. It's the man is the one is gonna be the buyer. You're not the buyer of your own object. Make no sense.
To prove
But
it
isn't that cope?
There we go, yeah.
Totally
that's,
cope.
That's what I'm
There
saying.
we
Like,
go.
the
Huge
only
cope.
way I can rationalize it in my head is like you have, I don't know, some come to Jesus moment and you realize
Yeah.
this is how you're going to
Cope.
rationalize it to yourself moving forward. But I think Brian's got us there.
Yeah, it's
I
a
think
it's
it's
a
the-
it's a bad one. It doesn't. It does. So I'm going to destroy this argument. Not today, but I will.
Or
it is a
worrying about
stalemate
screwing
because it's true, right? If the answer is I would do this if I thought this was more pleasing. Instead, I'm doing this because I think to him it creates more value. He sees me differently. Then if we took that out of the equation, I don't see how it's not faking virtue.
But
Well,
this
I think
this
it's
also
incredible.
has to
Faking
be
it, I think
this.
it's just unsure.
I'm also I'm also doing it to like not get myself hurt because for me when
Well,
I
that's
do
trauma.
sleep with someone, I normally get feelings for them.
Yeah,
So
there you go.
like waiting.
There you go, bro. This is the attachment aspect of it. You know, like she just literally, you make a huge mistake for future candidates. She just gave it away multiple times, and this is what happened. They create trauma because they build a huge attachment to a lot of these persons. Does that mean that you're competing with all those guys that she already slept with? It's insane. It's insane. How do you go about this, right? How do you really go about this? I really don't know. I really don't know.
Will help me like see if this person is someone I actually really do want to date.
But so here's where it gets complicated, right? So this whole waiting for sex thing becomes a bit more believable when a woman has a track record of upholding it. But you said that, so this guy who you've currently been seeing, you made him wait 5 dates, if I recall?
Probably about, I didn't like say 5 dates, but
But
like
that's what
I'm
happened.
estimating, yeah.
Okay, but then in between that, you said there was one guy who you hooked up with immediately.
Yeah.
So it's not an actual value you hold. It's just sort of this arbitrary
Can't her
thing.
values change?
Yeah,
Couldn't
my-
she have had a
this
different
happened-
So
value when
like
she
snip
first
snap,
slept with the
snip
guy?
snap, back and forth. So
That
one
doesn't sound like
day.
a snip snap. It sounds like she had a bad experience.
No.
with
But
a
hold
man.
on. So this is the timeline here, and I don't know the full timeline because I don't know all the people you've dated. Lost your virginity quickly. Made this guy wait 5 dates, and then
I was in a long-term relationship
But further,
before that.
okay, I know I'm excluding things. Then further along in the timeline, you reverted back to sleeping with somebody quickly. So that is a back and forth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lost her virginity easily. Made this guy wait 5 dates,
Slept with the guy in
one night
birthday.
stand or whatever
Yeah.
it was.
Yeah, and that's definitely like,
That's a flip flop.
it is. And I've been trying to better myself in that way
Yeah.
because I,
That's too late for her. That's too late for her. You basically have to take the L and just move forward and just really, really get out of the dating scene and go to therapy. Because this is not working, folks, for her. It's not working.
don't want to just give it up on the first date. So like I've been actively
She
working
will.
on it. I want to have that value, but sometimes like my self-esteem gets low, and a lot of the times like when I have sex with somebody, it brings it up for some reason. I can't say exactly why, but
Makes
that's
sense.
just how it is. I know that that's not necessarily a healthy way of thinking, which is why I'm actively trying to change
Well,
it.
so here's kind of, I guess, the perspective that I'm trying to get at. So if I can sort of flip the script a little bit, this would be like a guy saying when it comes to like, okay, you have casual sex with these guys in your past, and then the guy who you actually want a relationship with, you make him wait. Be like me saying, you don't understand. Those women were just for hookups. So of course, I have notes on this. I'm going to be reading off the notes. Of course, I bought them expensive stuff. I took them to the best dining places. I even paid their bills. But you're different from them. I actually see you as a potential girlfriend, wife, so you have to wait for those benefits. So we should go out to McDonald's and you should pay, by the way.
Oh, that's a good one.
Once again, I'm not purposely making them wait.
Are you
I see
just
your
going
point.
on dates
I see
with
your
women that have?
Yeah,
No. See, they don't want to listen. See, they're attacking the argument, but they're not listening to the argument.
I understand the point as
Like,
well,
I see your
and I'm trying to explain myself. Like,
That's crazy.
my values have changed since that time. So, yeah.
Look at her, look at her, look at her, look at her, look at her.
I think Brian got a good filming on that.
Did you have something on this? It sounded like you had something on this. You?
Me?
Yeah.
Healing is not a linear process, so it makes sense that she has to take steps back to take steps forward. Because we were talking about the flip flops, but it's a very, very common occurrence when
Oh,
someone is
no.
changing their moral view that they're going to fall back on it
Sure.
and they're going to change.
Right.
And that's
but
okay. That's
so-
part of growth.
Yeah, that's cool for her, but I'm trying to explain the male perspective
That makes
and why a
sense.
guy might view this as bullshit or frustrating. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I
She
also-
can do what she wants.
I think if a
She can
guy
do whatever she
truly,
wants.
genuinely values you and wants to be with you, then he will be willing to wait. I don't think a man that is
This is why you never should receive dating advice from a female. What she just said about if the right guy will come along, it will make, that's the recipe for disaster. That means that you're putting her in the pedestal. If you do that, you're already in the lower position, lower status inside a relationship. That's why you never listen to females' advice.
unwilling to
Sure.
wait, I think that says a lot about who they are as a
Right,
person, a
and
lot
I
more than
think-
the woman.
I think a woman who truly likes you, even though she knows that you treated every single girl prior to her that you've been with, whether it was long-term relationship, or maybe we can even exclude long-term relationships, and she knows that you've had, some casual hookups, one-night stands, and you would pay for the date for the casual hookups, you would bring them on trips, you would do all these things, you would provide, you would protect. But now that all of a sudden he really likes you and you really like him, he wants to actually pull back on providing. He doesn't want to pay for dates for you because you're the one. You're the one, but he doesn't want to provide. And you know that
That is a very
all
good
his
argument.
prior relationships and girlfriends and women he's hooked up with got far better treatment. You wouldn't be upset about that as a girl?
Yeah, but I think that's a very different.
How
than
is that-
someone-
No,
than
no,
someone
it's
for
not
someone to
different.
have
It's
sex
not
with
different.
you.
How is
it's a
that?
priority.
Because I don't think
It's
that-
an analogy, so it's not a
Yeah.
one-to-one.
Yeah.
It doesn't. What's the term?
She's getting triggered, folks. Let me just show you something very quick. Let me move myself here. Look at her nails.
To one.
Yeah.
It doesn't.
You see that?
uh,
You see that? You see her eyes moving back and forward? She's getting triggered, folks. Because what he's saying is true. This is their first time listening their script being flipped. And you see how triggered they get? Very important body language there.
What's the term? Doesn't like print on one-to-one.
Yeah.
I just don't think it's fair to
It's not
assume a
typical,
woman.
really, yeah.
I don't think it should be expected of her to give it up easily on the first date because she made the mistake the first time.
She doesn't have to. I'm just sharing the guy's perspective
Yeah.
here.
I
and feeling-
understand the
if-
guy's perspective.
Because
but-
I'm bi, I date women. If a woman came to
What
me and
has
told
to
me her
anything to
story,
do?
my first thought wouldn't be, man, it's so unfair that I don't get sex right now. I would think, that's so awful that you went through that. I'm so sorry that you
Who's
experienced
saying
that
that
trauma.
something awful?
Let's wait for that.
Who's saying that something awful
What she
happened?
experienced was kind of
Abuse?
awful.
You think it was
no,
abuse?
I've never said that.
She had
Don't
a-
put words in my mouth.
Quirky hookup.
Yeah, I didn't get
situation.
any trauma or anything.
I
from
mean,
it. It was.
That's
it
not
wasn't-
trauma.
It wasn't an ideal first time.
She had consensual
I know,
sex.
but it
Why
was-
are you trying to paint it like pathologize the situation?
I'm not pathologizing the situation.
I mean, you have a tendency to do that, but go on.
Damn. Okay, Brian. I see you.
She
This
explained
woman
to me,
has
seemed like
abuse.
it sounded like overall from what she explained, it was not an overall positive experience. It's not how I personally.
It's not abuse if you'd had
I never said it was
negative
abuse.
experience.
I never said it was abuse. I never
You
once
said trauma.
abuse. Yeah, you can get
A
trauma
ne-
from something that's not abuse.
Oh my
So
god.
like having a like
Bro, they're changing definitions left and right. Think about it. They don't even know what a woman is.
I think that
having
like
a regretful
I don't want to
hookup,
speak. I don't want to
having
speak
a-
for
hold-
her
hold on,
and
hold on,
say.
I
hold
do
on.
not have
So
trauma from
having-
this.
Yeah, I'm
It
not
was
gonna speak
weird.
for
but-
her.
Let's say she really regretted it. Is
Yeah.
that trauma?
No.
No, and actually having shame is
Say,
a very good thing
eh,
in society.
Fake conservative. You have to be quiet. You're doing the hero syndrome.
We've lost the ability to have shame about things that are shameful, and you cannot grow and you cannot learn without shame and regret.
I agree.
That's exactly why I've been trying
Exactly.
to change.
It's
so.
okay.
My entire
Trying,
point was to
trying.
speak for her and whether her experience was traumatizing.
But you're
or
doing
not.
it.
My entire point was if I heard from a person that I was interested in dating that they had prior negative experiences and they said, because of my negative experiences, I want to wait until the 5th date, I would respect that. I would not
Okay,
see any
as
problem
long
with
as
that.
you're totally fine if a man had a negative experience and you're saying that the woman is not allowed to feel a certain type of way if she finds out that a guy that she's dating treated his exes in this sort of way, bought food, bought gifts, paid for dates, took her on trips, whatever it is.
I think it's like a very common thing. I think a lot of guys with their first love.
See, it's true. Look at what Rachel Wilson is saying in Super Chat. Trauma healing journey, toxic, finding myself. Please stop with all this new age self-help woman prattle. BS. It's all lies and cope. It's true. It's just all coping. Why you have to go through trauma in the first place? Why? Why? And then you make your mistake. Then you say, I'm healing. Yeah, I'm just finding myself. All that's just cope.
They do over pour and they do over gift and they learn from that situation and they do take steps back and they do pull back, and I think that's a very healthy response to
She's trying to
being
get laid.
taken advantage of. And I'm not
She's trying to
sitting
get
here
laid.
saying her situation she got taken advantage of. What you're explaining is a man who got taken advantage of by their first love. So as a result, now going into their next relationships, yeah, they probably are not going to be going all out again because they're trying to protect themselves. And I think that's a really healthy response. I think what she's what she told me, it seems like she's having a very healthy response and learning from a mistake.
Except you're including one component of in here. I'm not saying in these scenarios, hypothetical scenarios, that the woman mistreated the man.
Okay.
I'm not saying that they
She's
had a
assuming
bad
that.
experience because they did these things. Right.
She's assuming that because that's what she will do to a man. You see what I'm saying? You have to flip it. She's assuming that because that's what they do. Remember that first girlfriend that she left you? She traumatized you. She just broke your heart. She went with another guy right after, and you were asking yourself what that happened. She didn't care. That's what they do. But they flip it on the man because that's how they project.
Okay.
Think about
By
that, folks.
Getting a woman gifts, paying for dates, etc.
Okay.
I'm just saying a woman might feel like, hold on, does she really care, or excuse me, does he really care about me? Because in all his other relationships, he did the most for his girlfriends. Am I just like sex to him? Does he not really care about me? Because in all his other relationships, he did XYZ. I'm not getting XYZ. Am I less important to him because of that? What's going on here?
So you would feel less important if a woman lost her virginity within 8 hours and wanted to make you wait 5 dates?
I would think it's a raw deal.
I understand. I get more what you're saying now.
It's clear,
I
it's
get
clear, they're
more what
coping.
Brian's point is. Like he has got a stalemate there.
Yeah, I get the point, but don't you think it's good for people to learn from their
I think
past
No, you
mistakes?
I think it's
you
an
can
enormous
change.
green flag
You can
because
change.
You can learn from your past, but you
shows
can't.
that she
Change
went
it.
through a past experience and she learned from it and she grew, and that to me personally is incredibly important when you're
But
looking for a partner.
You're forgetting the arbitrary nature with which she has this standard, because she stated herself that she lost her virginity
Yeah.
quickly, made this new guy wait 5 dates, and then after that slept with somebody quickly. It's a totally arbitrary virtue or value. So where is the growth there? If you make a guy wait 3 months to have sex with him, and then immediately once you break up with him, you go and a guy the first night after meeting
Yeah.
him after the breakup, you would look back at that and be like, wait, why did she went and this guy immediately, but I waited 3 months? So it was never about virtue. It was never about value. It was just some arbitrary thing. She was trying to withhold sex to get compliance from me in some way, essentially a game.
Fake virtue.
No, I genuinely wasn't trying to do that. Like, I was genuinely trying to be better for
You don't
myself.
think you were?
Okay.
Did they?
Just wanted to.
So just so you understand, and this is that thing I was talking about earlier, where sometimes when you're talking about a situation, you think it's directed at me. It's really not directed at you. It's just parsing this idea of the perception of how a man might feel under these situations, right? So
Yeah.
I can understand how a man would feel that he was getting the raw end of the deal, or
Yeah.
that he was being emotionally manipulated, or that a woman was faking virtue.
I can understand.
Whether
I understand
whether
why
that
we're
was your
different, yeah.
motivation or not,
Yeah, no,
I just
understand
assume it
that
wasn't.
perspective,
I'm
yeah.
just explaining that from the male perspective, I can understand why they would think that.
I can just.
It just, the point is that she doesn't want to understand it. She just wanna just understand what is in her head. She just listening what is in her head. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. See you in the next one.